Hey everybody, I'm Griffin, and this is Theta, and this is a death battle! No, that's not our intro. Welcome to Stone-Faced Reactions, where we watch videos and then don't react to them whatsoever. Hey everybody, welcome back to another Stone-Faced Reactions. I'm Griffin, that's Theta, and we're here to spin the wheel and watch some fights. So what fight are we gonna get this time? Wheel taking having a little bit of momentum today. And it is Magneto versus Tetsuo.
I hate going into these where I've won the last one and you have to pick first when it's a death battle because I feel like there's so much more involved on these.
That is true. The superpower beatdowns are fun, but they are fast, quick, and just basically opinion based, more or less. Death Battle spends 30 minutes going over every single detail, and that's where we get to go over every single
Yeah,
detail
one is
too.
arguing popularity and the other is arguing actual combat stuff.
Yeah, going over potential effectiveness of everything.
Well, who you picking?
Uh, Well, Tetsu does explode, I think, but I still gotta go for Magneto. I'm on an X-Men kick right now. So, yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Magneto. Magneto is a longtime supervillain, has control of metals and magnets, and I'm more or less certain that he can go ahead and come up on top of this against, some random kid who now has psychic powers.
See, the thing is, one, I think you're probably going off of the anime and not the manga. Because Tetsuo
Yes.
basically transcends reality as a whole. Like, he becomes so powerful, he just ceases to exist on this plane of existence, which is,
That could be slightly problematic from my point of view.
yeah, which is beyond where the anime stops.
Mhm.
Tetsuo, where he dies in the anime, he doesn't explode. I mean, he just becomes a giant blob because he loses control of his power. So the
Right.
argument to be made here, I think, is probably control.
Mhm.
Magneto has supreme control over his abilities, whereas Tetsuo, I think right up until the end, is learning to control them. I can't quite remember because I want to say I was reading these back in 97, which,
Mhm.
to those of you looking at the time date on this video, was quite a long time ago. Some of you
Was it?
watching,
It's
some
like
of you
yesterday.
watching might not have even been conceived by that time. So, it's been a while, but I'm confident that Tetsuo could probably win against Magneto. I mean, Magneto is a very strong character, and I think it will be a fight. But again, Tetsuo's power transcends reality by the end. So, if they're pulling from all sources and not
Mhm.
just the anime, which they should do, because it's what they do, then Tetsuo should win this.
Right. And given the way Death Battle does things then, I think if anything, they might go on, can Tetsuo do that consistently? Can he consistently end up transcending all reality and winning? Or is that just like a total gambit play that won't work like 90% of the time?
To clarify, when I say transcends reality, I mean that's how he just leaves the story.
He just escapes the book, yeah.
Well,
But yeah, is
it's
that
that.
something you could see him doing frequently?
Well, when he gets mad, basically all of his power is focused to destroy the thing he's mad at. So it's not like focused ability. It's
Mhm.
more like it just
Directed?
it's like when his emotion heightens up. It's just raw power being directed at a thing. So it's just that his power is so great that I think it would overwhelm Magneto's magnetic ability. And unlike Wolverine, Tetsuo isn't just naturally metallic. So
Yeah, you can't just win by grappling him and throw him off the bridge or
I mean,
anything.
by the end of the animated movie, he has obviously incorporated metal bits into himself. That's not like a permanent thing. That was just some
He could
funky.
probably choose not to, yeah.
Oh no, that was just a funky thing he was doing for that one moment in time. Later
Mhm.
on, he's still just a person. I mean, he has his own weaknesses and whatnot, but obviously we're just gonna let Death Battle talk about that.
Yeah, so I think we've at least hyped them up enough. Let's see what Death Battle has to say.
This episode of Death Battle is sponsored by HelloFresh and Bespoke Post.
HelloFresh while I eat a Burger King chicken nugget.
Yeah.
Health
It's
be
technically
damned.
fresh. Yeah.
It's not. It's literally been sitting here for like an hour now.
Magneto, Marvel's mutant master of magnetism.
Tetsuo Shima, Akira's telekinetic terror of Neo-Tokyo.
These two maestros of kinesis have ignited revolution not just in their worlds, but also the very mediums they exist within.
He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick.
And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle. In the short duration of
I do
modern
love how
civilization,
frantic
like
Tetsu
no
looks in like
conflict
every still
is
frame.
more than the Second World War. In the primary Marvel
Well, he's
616
suffering from
universe,
extreme
this fact
migraines.
is no different, especially to the
He's in
Eisenhower
pain
family,
due to his
their
power.
only son.
You may know him as Magneto.
Well, I mean, more like every single picture of him is like him scrambling around or in an awkward pose. It's great.
As a Jewish child in Nazi Germany, Magneto's early life
Yeah, because
was,
once again,
well,
he's in
extremely
pain.
traumatic.
Even after
He's usually
So-
like
escaping certain
gripping
death
onto
with
a
his
wall
future
and
wife,
shit.
misfortune always followed
So
wherever he went.
here's something about Magneto. So Magneto's origin story is very much has to be this because that's very important to the character of Magneto, right? We're in the year 2022. At some point, Magneto has to die as a character.
Not really.
Naturally, he snapped and
You know,
If there's a
there's-
story happening in 2030 and he's born in 1930, he's dead.
No, yeah, not really. Have you never read a comic book in your fucking life, Griff?
That is, I know. But I'm saying they're going to have to change his backstory to have him alive in the future.
Once again, not really. There's a fucking mutant who experiments on people's biology, their DNA, to make them younger and shit. Literally, he doesn't have to change his backstory at all. And pointedly, they never would. His backstory is like 50% of what makes him cool.
And the only reason we're talking about this is because we know most of this, I think, except the wormhole creation. That's weird.
Air has traces of lead and mercury. Whole mountains are lined with metallic ore. The Earth itself is surrounded by a literal.
Oh yeah, the
magnetic
time
field.
Magneto just like decided to flip Earth and destroy it.
Oh, he shifted the poles before.
While stranded on a
Mhm.
planet in another galaxy. And guess what? He was able to use those rays to pull himself back.
Oh gosh,
to
yeah,
Earth
that's
in
some
a
old
single
school
way.
X-Men there.
His range is even more remarkable than that. Did you know that in 1820, physicist Hans Christian Ørsted discovered that electric currents, like those of electrons and protons and atoms, produce their own magnetic fields? Magneto can fine-tune his control to affect these very subatomic particles. Dummy
Having a
illustrates
fundamental
such
force at your
particles
control
with
is
positive
very
charged
good, by
protons
the
and
way.
negative electrons.
My life is as meaningless as an atom is small.
So what you're saying is
Real Marvin the Martian vibes.
Correct.
No, not
Potentially changing atoms
the
entirely.
paranoid android,
However,
not Martian.
electrons do not have a charge, and without the ability to adjust those to
Yep,
accommodate
the big
changes
difference
in
between
atomic
Looney
mass,
Tunes and Douglas Adams,
unstable
folks.
and-
The two Marvins.
Do that. Magneto's violent protest against humankind clashed with Xavier's peaceful reconciliation, not unlike the ideologies taught by Malcolm X and Dr. King, by whom Stan Lee and Jack Kirby were inspired. Magneto would spend most of his career pushing Xavier away to prove his philosophies superior, which meant doing battle with Xavier's school of thought, quite literally.
And Baldy's mind powers are no
Sorry, I was
joke,
chewing there
but
for a
thanks
second.
to Magneto's
I was saying, I'm not a big
psionics,
fan of this all of a sudden.
Professor X couldn't touch him.
Of which
Magneto
thing all of a
survived
sudden?
Cyclops' earth-splitting
That two,
lasers,
powerful
absorbed the power
figures
of the sun to battle
in the,
Iron Man, ripped
movement
the
to
adamantium skeleton out of Wolverine's body,
black
even
acceptance,
taken
let's say,
on
because
Hercules
my mind has
himself.
just suddenly
You
blanked
know,
on the idea.
Greek
Two
legend,
powerful,
Yeah.
two powerful
the guy
black
who
men
held up the skies of
have been
Olympus
co-opted by
That
two
Hercules.
white
Seems
authors
sensible, Magneto once
and
used the
changed
Earth's
into
magnetic field
white
over
men
the
in the
Phoenix
comics
Force, which can effortlessly destroy
to then
planets,
mirror
let alone
the
far more.
movements
Hell,
that
if
they
he really
were.
wanted to, Magneto could totally just
X-Men
flip
is
the
not
Earth
a
upside
perfect
down.
allegory. That is for
Entirely
sure.
possible he may have eventually
Yeah, but to
resorted
say we
just
were
that.
inspired by
Over
these
time,
two
it became clear Magneto's
black
warriors
movement
stood far more
figures
armed than good
that we
for
just
his fellow
changed white, by the
mutants,
way.
however well-intentioned he may have been at first.
It's not a good look.
Luckily, he later realized he was going a bit overboard and began reevaluating his perspective. Good for you,
That's an
man.
interesting
It's really
costume.
tough to recognize when you're the baddie.
Also
It
to
took
point
time
out that
and
I believe that
patience,
the
not just from
the allegory is
Magneto,
then to be
but
made
also from his peers.
about, was it
And
what the gay
eventually, his
community
path
was what it was
was
supposed to
completely
represent?
changed. He
Yeah.
even became a leader
So,
for Xavier's
we've co-opted the
But
Black
don't let his new
Black
green
Lives
shoes always
movement,
fool ya. Whenever there's a threat,
turned it
you
white
can bet Magneto will
to
be there
represent
to
gay
annihilate
people.
it. Forever. By any
We've
means
completely
necessary.
destroyed the black element of this thing that we've co-opted.
This
It's
episode
not a
of
good
SFR was
look.
Sponsored by HelloFresh.
With HelloFresh, you get farm fresh.
Again,
sourced
chicken nuggets.
ingredients and seasonal recipes.
Yeah, my brain just got blanked by HelloFresh. It is eliminated all concerns in my brain. This is fine.
That's why it's America's
HelloFresh.
#1
It makes all narratives
HelloFresh
just
now has
fine.
30 dinner recipes to choose from every single week. That's
I gotta think of dinner tonight, man.
foolproof
I gotta think of
step-by-step
lunch
recipes,
today.
joyful cooking experience,
I was about to say,
free summer.
you know what series doesn't have this white co-opting problem? Akira.
that?
Is 72% cheaper than dining in a restaurant and is even cheaper than grocery shopping.
That's right, it's not about that. What is Akira about?
God, it's about so many things. It's hard to...
What's the thing that would stick out to you the most then? That it's about?
I would almost say colonialism, but it's
Huh.
that's not fairly well represented in the anime. Past the point where the anime movie ends, the manga deals with all the foreign powers trying to deal with what's going on in Tokyo, which I felt was a powerful representation of both the isolationism of Japan in the past being opened up to by colonial powers, as well as the post-World War II environment. So I would say that to me stands out the biggest, but again, not very well represented in the anime.
Okay.
Nothing comes to mind off the top of my head about what the anime is represented by, although again there are
I think it's represented by motorcycles.
there are a number of strong elements that just aren't coming to my head right now.
Understandable, it's been a while.
In his college thesis forehead got bullied for being the new kid at the orphanage. That's until Big Bro Canada came to the rescue.
Eventually, the two went to vocational school together and formed the Capsules. But Tetsuo was never satisfied
number
with Kaneda
41.
being the leader of the pack. Tetsuo desired more than anything to be top dog.
Oh, I can just see that monkey's paw curling in my mind. Or that kid walking down the street. Shit, Tetsuo, watch out, you're gonna...
Dead.
That definitely should have killed
That's where his Esper number
But
comes
since
from.
it didn't, Tetsuo earned himself a
Since he
ticket to military
gets
confinement.
brought into
Turns
where all
out
those
they
other
had an
kids are,
under-the-table program
who
for
all have
developing
numbers.
child superweapons.
In the same program that backfired and jump-started the war, Tetsuo became Japan's Esper number 41.
He may not have been a natural with bikes, baddies, or babes, but this telekinesis stuff hit different. He walked out of that hospital ward effortlessly flying, reading minds, and blending people into strawberry jelly. Tetsuo got what he wanted.
Just
power,
very
along with the
immediately,
hunger for more.
very
A
powerful.
hunger that used to only be
Again, that's where the
satiated
pain
with
comes
drugs.
from, see?
And not just any gateway drug, pills so potent that a single gram of the stuff could kill you.
So, pretty bad.
And he's just
Reminds me of
chomping it down.
He's in extreme pain all the time, and that's the only thing that gets rid of
is
it.
his constantly increasing psionic energy, growing more and more powerful over time. This is due to Tetsuo's link to, quote, the memories of the universe, end quote. It's weird.
Either way, Tetsuo leveled
And that's
up
basically
from
why
being
he
gangbuster to certified
dies in the
badass.
movie, is that he's
This guy is a
getting too
walking
powerful to
natural
control.
disaster. His telekinesis can shake the planet, easily cause earthquakes over 12 miles below the surface. He can summon psychic barriers for defense and crush foes with friggin' gravity wells. He can dart around.
This is also definitely the primary source of every psychic-type character in anime from here on out, too.
Specific parts of the body. He can heal severe wounds quickly, but even after losing a whole limb, he can craft a new one using whatever nearby materials he wants.
With these powers, Top Dog
Yeah, there you
said
go.
it
That's the
didn't matter
important
anymore.
phrase. Whatever he
needed
wants,
approval.
metal is just
Tetsuo tasted
convenient.
that good shit and he was hooked.
Like I said, he eventually
When he
gets so
found out
powerful he
another Esper
transcends
named
reality.
Akira could deal him
So-
even more power, he rampaged through Tokyo to find him.
And this is where versions of the story differ.
Ahem. Spoilers ahoy!
You may be familiar with the 1988 animation, where Akira had been dissected for research. However, in the original manga,
He's a kid
Akira
still.
is not only alive,
Yep.
but even more powerful.
Once that little runt nuked Tokyo, Tetsuo would erect the Great Tokyo Empire with Akira and himself as its leaders. But he ended up just abusing the position for endless sex and inflating his ego.
With Kanada's rebellion at his front door, Tetsuo took a turn for the worse.
Infinite power.
This is
Just
again why I say the anime
Tetsuo
is so
defeated other
disappointing.
powerful Espers,
because the
dodged
manga
light
is so
speed
much
lasers,
more
and jumped to the moon
and
faster
greater.
than anyone could blink. and then punched a big old hole in it. And if you ask, Boomstick, wouldn't that mess up gravity on Earth? You would be right, because it totally did. Screwed the planet, I guess. Stupid moon.
Which brings us to Tetsuo's folly. His abuse of his powers spiraled until he lost control. Unfortunately for Kanada's
There you go,
rebellion,
also one of your
this
previous
did not
points,
make
control.
Tetsuo an easier enemy to confront. Exactly opposite, in fact, as Tetsuo painfully mutated into an unstoppable behemoth.
Yep, that's not totally disturbing at all.
I'm happy to say the manga's version is even more disturbing.
I mean, I know babies can be monsters, but that's a whole nother level.
It is pain incarnate. I can relate. Another Esper described Tetsuo's struggle as ego death, which has multiple definitions, but in this case is likely symbolic of the version attributed to drug use.
Yeah, it's described as a shedding of one's own identity.
Yeah, there's a
Like
woman
how
that appears
LSD can emulate a
in
wild,
one scene in the
out-of-body
anime.
experience, and
Is
yet
basically a
come
main
back with
character
new
in the
perspective.
manga.
Though this is maybe a little more extreme. In fact, you could say Tetsuo was shedding his human body to play with the powers of a god.
I wish I
Say,
could shed out
transcends.
of my body.
Yep.
But in this case, Tetsuo going full out of body meant becoming a mound of raw, ever-expanding energy.
Which almost nuked Tokyo all over again. And those explosions are not normal. I would know.
Top scientists in both the manga and animated versions describe these explosions as births of a new universe.
Given its properties of nuclear fusion and proton collapse, Tetsuo's mutated form was likely creating a Big Bang.
You know, the thing that started our whole universe?
Right.
I'm sure
In the
that won't
manga,
have any
it
negative
explains
repercussions
the
to anybody.
Espers and their abilities once and for all. A testament that humankind is unsuited to wield the powers of the divine.
Though the anime's even more trippy. Thanks to Akira and his buddies, Tetsuo got so high on ego death, he ascended time-space to become god of a new universe. Kinda worth it, right?
And yet, Kaneda kept his empire up in his honor, now as the Great Akira Empire. Ironically, in death, Tetsuo finally received the attention he so desperately craved.
This episode of Death Battle
Like I said,
is
being
sponsored
god
by
of a new universe,
Take your
the
summer
transcendent
adventures to the next
power
level with bespoke posts
that he'll
from the
eventually
seasonal
reach
lineup
since his
of
power
must-have
just keeps
lots of
growing,
awesome collections.
kind of beats one minor element of the building blocks of reality that Magneto controls.
That is true, it goes pretty out of
No
control.
matter what you have
I
going
mean,
on
again,
this
it's like,
season,
I control one building block.
from camping
Okay,
gear
well,
essentials
I
to
control them
day
all.
travel must-haves,
How
Box
are
of
you
Awesome
going to
has
beat me?
everything you need for summer.
I guess that's the Avatar argument, right?
Yeah. Every single Avatar villain is like, I am master of my element, I will win here, and the Avatar goes, oh shit, if only I had mastered 3 more than that.
Well, I was gonna say it's more that he has to train in a bunch of stuff in order to beat one person who's mastered one. That the only argument is either Magneto beats him faster than he can power up, or that Magneto is so strong on the one thing that Tetsuo's general ability with everything isn't as strong.
Yeah. It's really dependent on where Tetsu is in his arc, isn't it?
Because again, he sheds his body, so killing his body isn't going to be a big thing if he gets that far.
Failed to recognize our superiority.
Wrong country, Grandpa! You're in Akira turf now!
Yeah, it's not Japan after he takes over. Although technically the Great Empire of Akira is only Tokyo.
True.
Impudent child!
The hell are you calling child? I make the rules around here!
It's good old volleyball.
Wasting my time.
I guess just to get that out of the way.
Yup. Yeah. Early Tetsu versus Magneto, Tetsu loses.
I mean,
That's the
technically,
clear message.
technically he just made his new arm out of a rock if he wanted to. He chose metal.
I'll kill you! Your history, scumbag!
I mean, it's basically, yeah, Magneto versus a Sith, and that the Sith could just crush your internal organs with the Force.
Right, and there's not much stopping that.
And unless you have a pacemaker, Magneto ain't got much to do to you.
Oh, planet is already destroyed.
I believe I've had enough tantrums to last a lifetime.
Not the sort of thing you expect to happen.
Listen, welcome. I'll handle this on my own. Not die. Hurts. Help me.
Iron from the blood is such a stupid shit.
Like when they did it in like X3, I think, right? It was very specifically Mystique injected somebody with extra. Like an entire like cup of iron. So I guess we could always go Full Metal Alchemist on it and like calculate how much iron is in a human body. Laser beam.
Right, but he transcends his body, so...
They will probably mention if he does transcend, he would just win.
Well, he was in the middle of it, and somehow it just blinked out. This is bullshit.
Tetsuo! Oh, God. I'm never doing that again.
Tetsuo's
Yeah, it's not an
esoteric
impression I could do
telekinesis
anymore.
and other bizarre abilities certainly
Tetsuo!
gave Magneto powers, but the Master of Magnetism had greater control over his foe.
The numbers don't lie. Tetsuo cratering the moon was insane, but Magneto punched Iron Man with the force of the sun. And while Tetsuo jumped all the way to the moon, Magneto could move across galaxies.
Against Tetsuo in his human form, Magneto obviously held
Tetsuo
a sizable
created a
advantage
fucking
in
universe.
speed.
But stats aren't all that matters. With his precise telekinesis, Tetsuo could just target Magneto's organs. GG, right?
Yes, but Magneto had similar skills. There are very few substances on Earth that lack any metallic or magnetic component, and Magneto is very creative with his powers.
Which he could use to predict Tetsuo's teleportation and even shut down his telekinesis. And his scraps with Xavier prove he could handle Tetsuo's messing with his head. The biggest challenge for Magneto was when Tetsuo's gross mutated power came into play.
There you go.
Especially given how the detonations from this form were compared to that of a Big Bang. Although the authenticity of that observation is questionable. In truth, the Big
How the
Bang
fuck
is
you
a
to question the
subject
Big Bang
matter
thing
of
and not...
universal
He
Because
had
it's a
him-
character saying a thing and not necessarily
Griff,
an accurate depiction.
shut up, Griff. Shut up. How are you to question the Big Bang comment, but not question the hit Iron Man with the strength of a sun?
Sure.
You're choosing and picking now, which is bullshit.
Tetsuo did in fact cause a Big Bang capable of creating or destroying an entire universe, alternate or otherwise.
Turns out Magneto had the tools to stop that too. Helmet Head could overpower Hercules, who was strong enough to hold up the skies of Olympus, which is literally heaven and an alternate.
Fuck you. Look at that interpretation. Dude is just literally doing this. Look at me, Griff. I'm holding up the sky.
And context is
Fucking
everything.
bullshit.
Tetsuo's Big Bang eruption specifically exhibited proton collapse, meaning its atomic structure was primarily an unstable mess of neutrons and electrons. And Magneto has detected and commanded unstable electrons before. This means Magneto had every means available to take control over this Big Bang.
Damn, and I thought he could just move some metal around. It's like the question posed by some of the greatest prophets of our time. Fucking magnets. How do they even work?
Magneto's astonishing power and intelligent control over all things magnetism triumphed in the end.
Tetsuo pushed his luck, but didn't have the metal to pull off the win.
The winner is Magneto.
Don't bullshit on this one.
Thank you for watching this episode. If you'd like to directly support the whole Death
I think the comment I made initially probably stands here.
Really appreciate it.
At
Hope you like the next one.
Tetsu's highest, Magneto doesn't survive because Big Bang, obviously. But in most other circumstances, Tetsuo is...
We've already seen this one.
Yeah. Oh, we have? Oh yeah, we sure did.
We already... You didn't recognize Hercules? And so
I didn't have it on the screen. I'm down to one monitor. I'm crippled, man.
Yeah, but the video was still playing. Why would you tab out?
Because I wanted to see your face when you were saying, oh, look at me, I'm holding up the sky.
I mean, to be fair, how many atmospheres of pressure am I holding up right now? It is...
One.
It is a, yeah, but the gravity pushing down upon it, that meant... I'm just saying...
One.
No?
One. You have one atmosphere on you right now.
Right, which is very powerful if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Just because we put the number 1 attribute to it doesn't mean it's not a lot of weight and pressure of its own.
Well, I know what party trick I'm going to do from now on.
But the picture that they showed was literally Hercules, or Atlas and Hercules, doing this. It wasn't like Atlas's normal depiction where he has a sphere on his back, which is the Earth. It was literally, I'm holding up the sky. Well, guess what, Death Battle? Anyone can fucking hold up the sky.
I'm going to put that down to just artistic license, honestly.
Well, that's their fault. That's not my fault. And that's Death Battle's fault for interpreting it that way. Again, anybody can hold up the sky. The sky is bound to the Earth by gravity and probably rotational force.
I guess this is where, of course, I got to go back to the ever-present Death Battle critique, which is,
That critique, I heard that.
Yeah, there's not only one way to interpret things, especially if you're trying to put numbers to them.
Again,
You can still read into things differently.
My problem is that both sides have conflicting people just saying shit. It's like that old Superman one, where the guy says, oh, but I hit him with the power of 1,000 supernovas. It's like, sure, dude just fucking said that. There was no math. He didn't pull out like a whiteboard with stuff on it.
Did he test that ahead of time? Does he have a chart for this, you know?
Yeah, stuff wasn't fucking said. As opposed to other comics where Superman has been in the middle of 2 planets being crushed together, which is to say, okay, Superman has survived being crushed between 2 planets before. Also, Superman has survived being in front of a supernova, because we've seen that on comics too.
Mm-hmm.
But this guy saying that my punch is as strong as 1,000 supernovas, well, if that guy hasn't been in front of 1,000 supernovas, or hasn't had some sort of measuring device, like Rocky IV, to prove that his punch is 1,000 supernovas, then...
Right, and it's of course difficult to get that information because it's a comic book that's not focused on like trying to give you the empirical data. It's trying to show off a cool thing and then it moves along and you're going, wait a second, hold up.
Well, it's also pointed
So it's always going to be difficult.
that he's just a dude that lives on Earth, so he would also have no way to physically measure that. So, again, at the end of the day, it's just one guy saying a thing, and then the comic book readers of the world saying, yeah, well, he would beat this guy because he has the strength of 1,000 supernovas. Fuck, no, he just said it. It's unreliable narration.
That's okay. I have the power of 1,000 tiny dogs here.
And you know, I would at least give the point to Akira, in that the person saying it there is aboard an aircraft carrier filled with scientists whose only job is to observe what's going on with these supernatural people in the empire of Akira. So at least it's scientists saying it's likened to the birth of a new Big Bang.
Right, they're the expository device there, right? So, of course, what they're saying probably has to be something that at least informs the viewer, if not is actually correct in some manner. Yeah.
Right. What I'm saying is that at least in the realm of believability, they are a scientific authority in the world they exist in, saying this shit, as opposed to the guy punching Iron Man saying that his punch is this strong.
Right.
One is an authority, and the other guy is hyping himself up.
But I guess that is kind of all there is to be said about the battle now, though, isn't it? We've seen everything, we've gone over the details, and of course we've argued about the semantics of evaluating comic book characters.
Yeah, it's a bullshit fight.
I think we've done everything today.
It's a
Yeah.
bullshit fight.
They just gone feral. We gotta end the episode.
Bark!
I'm Griffin, that's
Fuck
the
it! I'm out!
And this has been Stone-Faced Reactions. We'll see you next time, everybody. Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stone-Faced Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video and what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?